This is part two of the prophetic challenge against the judiciary. Now we talked about, and I apologize. This should be at the state courthouse, and then I planned on going to the state courthouse, then the Supreme Court, and then the International Criminal Court. That was my plan. I really don't have time to do all that traveling, so I'm going to challenge the courts. This is a challenge and notification to the courts that they have usurped their authority over us and me. Public notice, public legal tender notice. So we talked about how this court system is literally on the ground of some very hateful family of judges that promised 1,000,000 years to the people that came before them, and then celebrated when they had sentenced people to 1,000,000 years. That this land is owned by them. That when the Klan rallies, the court allows them to come here, right? Okay. Weaponized the court system, weaponized the judiciary. But then let's look at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, look at Clarence Thomas. Oh my God. Clarence Thomas just recently voted against a man who was wrongly convicted. And you know how they give you a pretender? The public defender is really what you call a public pretender, because there's no way that the caseload that they have that they could adequately and without investigators, they have no budget for investigators. And so there's no way that they can do the proper discovery, and they're not trained in constitutional law. Matter of fact, when you go in here, the flag has the frizz around it. That means that it's a corporate law. It's corporate. It's not real. It's not constitutional real. It's corporate. So we're looking at how they have weaponized the judiciary. But I was talking about Clarence Thomas. Now here's a man. Here's a case came before them that the man was really innocent, but the lawyer that they put on him didn't present the evidence that was necessary to exonerate the man. And so, and that happens a lot here when you got public pretenders. So the Supreme Court and Clarence Thomas ruled against the man, the courts being allowed to see the evidence that exonerated him. In other words, he said, well, he's been found guilty by the courts. It's done. He doesn't want to, he voted against seeing the information that would free the man. That's the kind of clannish, I call him an Oreo. See, because he's black on the outside, but he got the stamp of the Klan on the outside. He's soft, sugary, smooth on the inside, and sugar's never been good for you. And they crumble under pressure, but they've protected him from the pressure. And then there's the tax stuff where he's not being forthcoming. There was the billionaires that was literally buying Judge Thomas's mother a house and stuff like that. And then there was Judge Thomas's wife, who literally funded the insurrection by helping and funded busloads of people to go to January's insurrection attempt. Yeah. Now that's just so we got local, we got national courts weaponized against you. You know, they even supported judgments against you knowing about who really assassinated who, because those people are still in power. You got to understand what's going on. So we talked about local, we talked about national, now we got to go international. And we're going to it's called the ICC, but I think it should be called the ICCC. They call it the International Criminal Court. But really, they're the International Clannish Cunt Courts. Now, why would I call the international court a cunt court? Because please remember that President Bush sent Condoleezza Rice to them because they were going to charge Bush for war crimes. And so the Secretary of State was sent there, and they told the International Criminal Court that if you indict Bush, we will go to war against all the nations. And so Bush wasn't indicted. Now, recently, the International Criminal Court wanted to indict another Americans. What happened? They were told that America would murder or kill or assassinate, whatever language you like, their judges. So America threatened to kill their judges. So what did the International Criminal Court do? Well, they must have not only did that, I think they told them to do something based upon what the International Criminal Court did. They then filed criminal case against Putin. Another trip. And so when they do that, what's required is any nation who is a party of the criminal court, they must serve and conduct the arrest. And so South Africa said, well, then we don't want to be a part of this, because we noticed that whenever it comes to a white nation and they threaten you, you take them off the list. And then you done built up an African leader list to go after. So how can you be just if you are clearly being threatened? And then the second point of that is, how can you accurately judge rightly if you're in fear of your life? And I know that because I've had situations, being a news media fact finder is a dangerous position. And especially if your assignment is to go after the crooked judges. So that's what I was doing for years in Akron, Ohio. And so we went after Judge Dezo, and oh my God, there was a Murphy. There was a whole bunch of crooked judges, and we had proof on all of them. As a matter of fact, we didn't even publicize their dirty deeds till we had proof of their dirty deeds. That's why I always win defamation cases, because I already have proof before I speak. And truth is the absolute defense in a defamation case. So we went after these crooked judges. And I remember we went after Judge Dezo. And so we literally called her a judicial whore because we could prove it. She was just a judicial whore. She wasn't interested in justice. She was interested in manipulation and all of that bullshit. She was whoring for that. She was on the bench whoring in that manner, derailing justice. And so we put it out there. We had proof, all of that. So she feared, and I had a case before her. I spared no rod, no sword. And so we established the Regional Citizen Review Authority. I got we started investigating and having hearings and all this stuff, right? So they were afraid. Matter of fact, we would mimic the Department of Justice's forms exactly, and then send people into the courtroom and write up the judges every time they did something wrong, come back before 4 o'clock and fax the complaint to the Department of Justice, so that the complaint was being responded to before the judge even got off work. Show me a citizen review board that does that shit. And so anyway, so they feared me. And so then I had to go in front of the bitch. She was being intentionally treacherous, causing hatred. That's my acronym for bitch. So she was being the bitch. I had to go before her. And so anyway, long story short, it was a divorce case. Uh, the wife wisely decided for a joint, not to put me on child support. she was, she knew that I could do better for my son directly. We'd have a better relationship, and she knew what I'd do if she did that. And so the judge called her lawyer and asked the lawyer to tell her what actually told the lawyer that I had falsified documents, that I had falsified an agreement, the mutual agreement, because I filed a mutual agreement, having her signed it after she had signed it. So the judge thought that I had falsified the whole thing, so contacted her lawyer, told him to contact her. So when the lawyer contacted her, she said, "No, I signed it. I mean, this is what we agreed to, and I'm not going to go back on it now because I'm afraid it might be some consequences." And so he called the judge back and said, "Look, she signed it." So then the judge said, "Do me a favor. Call her back and tell her that she's crazy if she signs that mutual agreement." He called her back and said, "Judge, she says she ain't going to change it now." So then the judge gave this lawyer who was from out of town a big favor and made him the chief magistrate of her court because she knew he was willing to do dirt. And then I happened to be going through the courthouse. Sometimes when you walk humble, they can't see you. And I was just walking humble. He didn't notice me. And the clerk was very concerned and was pulling the magistrate aside saying, "Look, but we can't do this. This is illegal." And he says, "Yes, but if it's not enforced, it's like it's really not illegal." Crooked judges, crooked magistrates. So it comes to stand that you cannot rightly judge a person who you are afraid of. You cannot rightly judge a person when you have a conflict of interest, and that's all they have. So we dealing with the criminal courts. When we know that the criminal court should have put Bush, all the Bushes, Obama, killing Gaddafi, all of them should have charged them all. But then when they threatened to kill the judges says, "We'll back off." And that's why those judges aren't worthy to sit on the goddamn bench. People like me have to fight for justice in the face of danger, and we still tell the truth in times of crisis. But these punk ass pussy judges, they're afraid of the terrorist instead of taking the terrorist out. So that's my challenge to these weaponized judiciaries who clearly have violated all laws against you and have clearly usurped their powers over you from their dastardly deeds. That's my challenge. What's yours? And then let me ask you, have you ever had a lawyer like me?